We have officially entered 2025. We have a new calendar year. It is a new season too for Florida State, but man, it is a busy, busy offseason for Florida State. We are going to see a different and a whole wide new range of a team going into this next season. Of course, FSU fans don't want to see what happened last year again. Mike Norvell certainly can't do that, or he won't be coaching for the Florida State Seminoles in 2026. But it's a critical offseason for Mike following the disappointing 2024 campaign. So the 2025 class right now already includes 32 new players, 21 high school signees, and 11 new transfers, and most likely going to see most certainly some new additions in this transfer portal during the spring, and just seeing how much Florida State does also too in attrition. This offseason marks a significant change in college football too, with the new NCAA replacing the traditional 85 scholarship limit with a 105 player roster cap. Florida State listed 123 players on its roster last season, so the new rule will most certainly require some adjustments for Mike Norvell and the staff. FSU's roster features notable experience added with the transfer portal, but this is a youth-heavy team with over 59% of its players classified as underclassmen. Depth has certainly improved so far, like the offense and defensive lines, quarterback, and the linebacker room. However, Florida State still needs to do some more work in some of those units in the winter and spring transfer and the transfer windows there. Florida State is going to be very, very busy the next few months whenever they get through this winter part of the transfer portal process, and then too as well once we get into the spring part for Florida State. But also too, Florida State still having to navigate through some of those penalties that they were struck with this last year, that they will have to find ways to operate without 5 scholarships over the next 2 seasons. So this video is specifically going to talk about Florida State's current roster as we speak. Hopefully no one has already signed and no new additions have happened since filming this, but this is on January 1st of 2025. Let's take a look at what Florida State currently holds on its roster. So let's start off with the quarterback room. Florida State making a big move there, bringing in Thomas Castellanos from Boston College. He's projected to be Florida State's starting quarterback. You've got Brock Glenn still in the helm. Seems like he's going to go ride it out and see what he can do in the spring. You also have Trevor Jackson, who is a redshirt freshman. He brought in also to Kevin Spurry as a true freshman there, who was a late addition in that early signing day window. Running over to the running backs, we have Roydell Williams coming back. He's a redshirt senior now. Keziah Holmes, another redshirt senior. Jalen Lucas, after suffering that injury last year that took him out of the rest of the season. Hopefully he's fully recovered to see him in the spring or in the latter half of that, but he's a redshirt junior. You've got Samuel Singleton, who we saw some flashes from, speedy guy. He's a redshirt junior now. And Cam Davis is a true sophomore. Micaiah Danzy, really speedy guy with some length, probably going to be in the passing attack, I would imagine. And Gus Malzahn's offense moving forward, he's a redshirt freshman now. Now going over to the tight end room, which Florida State did a lot of work on once this offseason began for them. Marquiston Douglas Biscuit is back in the house in Tallahassee. Big boy down in the trenches. He's coming back as a redshirt senior, coming from Arizona State. And Kenny Dillingham, who just had a phenomenal game and the Peach Bowl, almost winning that game against Texas. Randy Pittman from UCF transfers as a junior. Landon Thomas is coming back along with Amari Williams. I think, too, having both of those two players there in that tight end room is big for you. And also, too, there's some question marks on what Florida State wants to do with Amari Williams, but I like him as a playmaker on the offensive side of the ball, just depending on what they can do finishing off the transfer portal and also, too, on the regular signing day, which is the beginning of February. Florida State still after some targets there that have not signed yet with schools. I would like to see where Amari Williams can stay in the tight end room there, just because I think he has some really good hands. And I think there's also, too, just some attributes that I think Florida State needs as being a playmaker. Florida State needs more playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. And I think Amari Williams brings that definitely when you can run that in tandem with Landon Thomas. And you've got 2 good blocking tight ends with Randy Pittman and Marquiston Douglas. And you also brought in Chase Lofton as a true freshman as well. So I do like this tight end room a lot right now as it stands on January 1st going into 2025. Let's go over to the wide receiver room. Florida State made a big splash with USC transfer Deuce Robinson coming in at a junior. I think he is going to be an immediate starter for Florida State. You'll see Hakeem Williams too. He's not going anywhere. I think for Florida State fans, they want to see consistency from him and also development, something that we just didn't see with Ron Dugans. And that's why the Seminoles had to move on. You have Jordan Scott coming in as a junior, Jalen Brown, a redshirt sophomore who you would like to see develop there and be more of a threat with his speed. LaWayne McCoy, too, as well. BJ Gibson, Elijah Moore, who I'm certainly really excited on. I'm excited also to see Camden Fryer, who we did not get to see in the 2024 season due to injury before the season beginning. And then they brought in a handful of guys with Javon Boggs, who was really good as a senior at a high school level. And then you got Tariq Mallory as a freshman and Tayshawn Gelsey as another freshman. Now over to the offensive line with Herb Hand. Busy. Immediate. Once the season ended, all of us were like, okay, if you're going to be putting money, NIL, whatever kind of funds you have, any kind of pocket change you have, put it towards the front line for this offense. And sure enough, it seems like they've done that. And I really am intrigued to see how this flows with now Thomas Castellanos at the quarterback position and Florida State trying to get its running game going, because you do have a lot of talented running backs. But Florida State, real quick, just running through a lot of these offensive linemen: Gunnar Hansen, redshirt senior; Adrian Medley coming from UCF, going to join in tandem back with Gus Malzahn; Micah Pettis, big boy, right tackle; Luke Pettibon coming in as a Wake Forest transfer at the center position; Jacob Rizzi, Richie Leonard, who's coming back for another season. He's going to be a redshirt senior. Bryson Estes, TJ Ferguson, Jalen Early, Andre Otto, Lucas Simmons, John Daniels, Manasseh Atiti, Ty Helton, Jaden Todd, Mario Nash Jr. coming in the recruiting class, and Sean Perrette. It was really nice for Florida State to hold on to Mario Nash Jr. I think that's someone that I think Herb Hand can do some work with on the developmental side. Now, flipping over to the defensive side of the ball, Tony White trying to get some of his playmakers, trying to get his own personnel that he wants to see out there on the field that fits his new defensive scheme as a 3-3-5. Darrell Jackson announced that he's returning for his last year of college football. He's a redshirt senior. Jaden Jones is coming back as a redshirt senior. You've also got Aaron Hester. You've got James Williams. You got Deontay McCray as a transfer off the side of the ball at the edge position. You got Daniel Lyons, who will be one of those guys at the nose tackle position going into this next season. Nas White, Jamori Flagg. You also brought in a really, really talented young true freshman, Kevin Wynn, at the defensive tackle position. He is a nasty, nasty guy that likes to just hurt you. And I love guys like that. Physical, smart with the hands, and is going to play early, I think, for Florida State moving forward. Florida State also doing a good job in the edge position as of late in that early signing day window with Jesse Harold picking the Seminoles along with Tylon Lee, Mandrell Desir, and Darrell Desir, also two brothers coming in on this roster too. Moving forward, linebacker room for the Seminoles. Florida State needing to do a lot of work here, making some additions here. And remember, this was filmed on January 1st. So I know Florida State currently has, as I'm speaking, a couple of guys on for a visit. If I don't name them, oopsies. Hopefully Florida State did land these guys. So then when we do update this going into the spring, they're listed on this roster, because Florida State does need to add guys into the roster in the linebacker room that can develop. I think that need to be around the program for a couple of years, but also to immediate impactful linebackers. But here we are right now with Stephon Thompson, a transfer coming from Nebraska, going all the way back to the days of playing for Tony White at Syracuse. He follows in his footsteps over to Tallahassee. You've got Omar Graham Jr. coming back, which I think was a really solid addition. You've got Blake Nicholson, Justin Cryer, who we saw show flashes to us, and I think is going to be a really nice player for the Seminoles if he can come back fully healthy. You've got Tamir Hickman Collins as a redshirt freshman, Jaden Parrish as well, and then Ethan Pritchard as a true freshman coming into this class. So now Florida State, Coach Surtain, there was some chatter about, is he going to leave for a head coaching job, or is he going to go find, back to the NFL? Where is he headed? He, does his interviews, it seems like, and now sticking and playing, or not playing, but I almost felt like he needed to go out there sometimes. But Coach Surtain is going to be coaching for another season with the Seminoles, and I think it's huge because there is a lot of loaded talent in here that you like all across the board. You still have Shaheem Brown, who's a redshirt senior. You got Ashlyn Barker, redshirt junior. Earl Little Jr., as well as a redshirt junior. You got Quindarius Jones, which Quindarius Jones, I think is a solid cornerback. I think there was a lot of SEC schools. There was a lot of chatter and some rumors about Quindarius Jones, but he is right now with Florida State staying on this roster, but there are some teams across the country with some intrigue for his talents. But I'm a big Quindarius Jones fan. I think he's physical. I like the way that he plays. He brings energy, and that's just exactly what I want from a lockdown corner. Conrad Hussey, wanted to keep it a close eye on this spring. I think there were some question marks if he'd be sticking around. But, yes, he's still on the roster here as a junior. KJ Kirkland, Edwin Joseph. Every FSU fan is excited to see another season going into 2025 with him. Jabril Rawls, Charles Lester III, who, if you're thinking Nole-blooded, that would be Charles Lester, and excited to see what he looks like going into his second season. Ricky Knight III, Kai Bates, Jamari Howard, kind of end off that list there for the defensive backs room for Florida State. Then you've got some special teams as well. You've got two kickers. Really Jake Weinberg, and then you got Bruno Reyes, a true freshman, coming in as well. You got Ethan Post as a true freshman, as a punter, as we know. The kicker from down under, Alex Maschermano, moving on and heading into what could be potentially the pros. I'm sure he'll get picked up at a practice squad at the NFL level, just with his talents after another really successful season. And Mac Chiuminto, hopefully I got that right. If I didn't, let me know down in the comments how to say that correctly. Mac Chiuminto. That's what I'm going to go with. But sorry, Mac, I should just say your first name. Anyways, we always got to give love to the long snappers, as always. There's 3 on Florida State's roster with Mason Arnold, a redshirt senior, Peyton Naylor, redshirt sophomore, and Weston Edwards, a redshirt freshman. But shout out to Mason Arnold going into his redshirt senior year. Always got to show love to the long snappers. They can never be forgotten. So the class breakdown for Florida State. Seniors, there's 19 of them. Juniors, there's 25. 18 sophomores. 44 freshmen. 44. This is a young team, ladies and gentlemen, and that Mike Norvell is going to be relying a lot to save his job in this 2025 season. And this all totals out to be 106 on the roster. So Florida State going to be doing a lot of rapid development as much as they can with a lot of those youngsters. But yes, some work to be done still in the transfer portal. We'll see what they end up doing on the traditional signing day that is at the beginning of February. So if you enjoyed the video, definitely feel free to hit the subscribe button down below. Hit that bell button so you get notified too whenever we release a new episode. And greatly do appreciate you hanging out with us. And we'll talk to you in the next video. Thanks for watching.